If you want to add some fun effects to your Procreate art, I'm going to show you how to do it with these 5 fun ways to use the effects in Procreate. Hi everyone, welcome back to Haley K Studio. I'm Haley and I like to create Procreate tutorials for beginners. And today I'm going to walk you through 5 fun ways to use effects in Procreate. We're going to cover the Liquify tool, the Lasso tool, the clone stamp, the bloom effect, as well as the chromatic aberration. You may already use these tools often, but I think there's at least one of these that you haven't tried before, or maybe I'm showing you a new way that you didn't know that you could use it. Either way, we're gonna have fun with these, and let's go ahead and get started. The first one that I thought we could have fun with is the Liquify tool. And I'm just starting off with a blank canvas, and this one's a square canvas. It can be any size that you want it to be. This is a very freeform project we're doing for this first one, and this is really just a fun exercise. I'm going to start off with the color black. I want to create a simple pattern on my canvas that we can manipulate with the Liquify tool. So what I did was I made this multi-line brush in preparation for this project, and I'll go ahead and share this brush with you. It's a very simple one to make, so I've linked it down below and you can download it. I want this brush in a bunch of diagonals on this canvas. So now that we have all of our lines in place, I'm just going to flatten all of these layers so that we can use the Liquify tool on all of them at once. And now that I've flattened those, I'm going to duplicate it a few times because we're going to try a few different Liquify effects. Within that effect, there are a few different ones you can choose from. So I'm going to just hide those from view and select my first one. Then I'll go to Adjustments and choose Liquify. And first we're going to try the Push tool. That creates such a weird optical illusion when you have the white lines and you push them across the screen. I think it's really cool. And then I will select my next one. We'll go back to Adjustments and choose Liquify again. And now I'm going to try the Pinch. There, that has created such a cool kind of optical illusion look, and I can see this as a pattern like on a tile floor. I think it's really cool. I'm going to go back to Liquify, and the next one I want to choose is the Expand, and I'm going to keep it 40%. And the next one I wanted to show you was the Edge Liquify. Now, I don't know what you're going to do with this, but I think it's such a cool optical illusion that it's just kind of fun and mesmerizing to do. And now with the Pinch again, I'm going to turn it all the way up, and I'm just going to pinch the middle. And the last Liquify tool I wanted to show was the crystals. I'm going to turn this down to 65%. So the thing with this one is I have no idea what you're going to use this for other than to watch and get mesmerized by it because it's so cool. The next fun Procreate effect I wanted to show you was the Lasso tool and making an entire piece of art with the Lasso tool. We're going to make a kind of beach theme. You can go to my Lasso tool video that I shared a few videos ago. I have a full tutorial on how to use the Lasso tool to make some fun art. This time I'm going to make an even more simple one, but another way just to encourage you to use it because it's a fun exercise. And it's a good way to get the creative juices going when you don't have a whole lot of time, but you still want to have a little bit of creativity. And this one is going to be super simple. I have this very small color palette here, and I'm going to choose this blue here. And then I will choose my Lasso tool and set it to rectangle and color fill. And I'm just going to create my first block of color here. And then the important part is to unselect the Lasso tool when you want to go to the next one. And the next one I want to go to is this lighter blue. They're a super pretty kind of beach theme. Next, we're going to make this sweet little flower pattern with the clone stamp. The clone stamp is really great for making corrections and fixes to actual like photographs. That's typically how I've used the clone tool, like in Photoshop or in Lightroom. If you have like a picture of yourself and there's like a discoloration on your face, like a pimple or something, you can use the clone stamp tool to basically erase it. But now we're going to use it to actually make a little cute piece of art. And I am going to choose this really pretty green color for my background. I'm going to add a new layer above that, and I'm going to go into my Kawaii Essentials brush set and drawing kit and just grab my fluffy liner 80. And I'm just going to draw a sweet little flower right here. And it is important that your flower goes into a new layer. And then I'm just going to grab a yellow for the middle part of my flower. And now we've got one flower on a big canvas. Now we'll go to the Adjustments tab and grab the clone. And I'm just going to set it right there, and I'm just going to keep my Apple Pencil down the whole time, and I'm just going to make a clone of that flower. I'm just going to readjust it here. I'm going to draw another one right here. And it's kind of important to keep your Apple Pencil or your stylus, whatever you're using to create your art, keeping it down and not lifting it up in the middle of using that clone tool. And you can kind of just freehand a pattern here. And you can just keep kind of making them to your heart's desire. So this is the next image we're going to make. We're going to use the bloom tool to create this light bulb that makes you think of bright ideas. Hopefully this is a bright idea for you. And I'm going to start by filling my background with this kind of midnight black, midnight blue color. And then I want to add a new layer. And I'm just going to use a monoline brush. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use my smooth liner from my Kawaii Essentials brush set and drawing kit. And I'm just going to create a circle, and then I will hold down the screen to create a perfect circle, and then I will fill that. And then I want to create the dip in the light bulb, so I'm just going to add a layer above that one, and then I will just kind of create the curve of a light bulb. I'm going to duplicate that and just flip it. I could have used the symmetry tool for that, but I didn't want to. I wanted to just duplicate it over. I'm just going to adjust it so the edges are smoother. I'm just going to flatten those together and then fill that little section. And now I have the start of my light bulb, so I'm just going to push it up a little bit. So now I will just choose a black. I want to create the bottom of my light bulb, so I'm going to add a new layer above this original light bulb. And I am just going to make kind of the bottom part of a light bulb. And I'm just going to erase the top of that so it's got a better shape to it. And then I will add a new layer, and I am going to go to the airbrushing tab. I'm going to use the soft brush, and I'm just going to make it look like the threading of a light bulb. And then I will blur this up with a little bit of Gaussian blur. And then I will go back to that airbrush, and I'll turn it up a little bit and just create a little bit of like shine to it. So now we're going to go back to the light bulb. First, I want to duplicate the light bulb. I want to turn off the bottom one, and on the light bulb copy above it, I am going to turn on a mask. And with the black selected and back to my monoline brush, I'm just going to kind of follow the outline of my light bulb and try and make it as smooth as possible, and then fill that. With the mask layer selected, I will go to Gaussian blur, and I will turn that up. And now it's looking a lot like a light bulb. And I'll go back to the white, and I am going to go back to the soft brush from the airbrushes. And I'm just going to create like a little shine mark to the top of the light bulb. And now with the bottom layer selected, I'm going to turn it back on, and it looks kind of scary for a second. I'm going to turn up a Gaussian blur, and all of that is going to start shining through. And I'm going to turn down the opacity of that layer a little bit, just so that we can see that it's shiny, but we can still see through the light bulb a little bit, because we're going to create a layer below it. And I'm going to select a yellow color. It doesn't matter which color yellow that you choose. I'm going to go back to a smooth liner. I'm going to start making kind of the prongs to the inside of my light bulb, and I'm going to write the word ideas. So it's kind of like the squiggly inside of a light bulb. And now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to start using the bloom tool, and I'm going to go to adjustments, and then bloom. And I'm going to turn up the bloom, and I have that ideas layer selected, and you can adjust the burn and the size of the glow, and I kind of want it a tight glow, and I still want to be able to read that it says ideas on there. So I don't want the burn too high, because if I turn it up too high it goes a little too blurry, but right there is pretty good. And now we can go to that Gaussian blur layer of the light bulb, and we can turn a glow on that one as well. So I'm going to go back to bloom, and I can turn up the size and turn up that glow. And this one you can turn up the burn as high as you want. Kind of creates a halo, and I don't want the halo too much, but here's a really cool light bulb with a nice little message, bright ideas. This one's a really cute kind of project that you can make. So now we're going to create this cool kind of distorted look using the chromatic aberration. And there's a lot of different ways you can use the chromatic aberration, but I thought we would use it to kind of create a vintagey feel on like a seamless pattern. So first I wanted to draw the motifs to a seamless pattern. So here's a sweet little motif of some flowers. Now we're going to create this into a simple seamless pattern, not a very big one. And to do that, I am going to flatten these top two layers of my brown lining and then the color fill that I did behind it. I'm going to duplicate this 3 more times so I have 4 of them. And then I will duplicate this bottom layer so that I have 4 of them as well. They're going to act as my square guide to my flowers so that they maintain a perfect square as I'm putting them in their seamless pattern spot. Select my first 2 layers. I'm going to go to the Move and Transform tool. I'm going to select Snapping. I'm going to turn on Magnetics and then turn Distance and Velocity all the way up. And now I will go to my canvas and I will push these to the very corner, and I will maintain those orange lines so that I know I put it in the exact corner. Then I will go to the next one and I will repeat this. So there we have a simple seamless pattern, and now we're going to use the chromatic aberration to give this a vintage feel. And first I am going to select all of my background color layers. I'm going to group them together and then flatten them and put them to the very back. And then my motif layers, I'm going to group those together and then flatten them as well. I'm just going to make a duplicate of that layer. And that top layer, I'm going to go to Adjustments and then Chromatic Aberration and then Displace. And then I'm just going to scooch in so I can see how far I want to take this chromatic aberration. And I'm just going to move it down ever so slightly so that it's not too distorted, but we are getting a little bit of that aberration of color. You can see it kind of creates a sort of distorted look to it. So now I'll go to that top layer and I want to change the color blend, and I am going to choose Overlay, and it creates a very subtle change to the art, but I find this to be a really charming way to use this tool. It really gives us a vintage look, I think. But if you're wanting to have a more in-your-face change, we can even try it again. So I'm just going to turn off that top layer. I'm going to create another new layer, and I'll go back to Chromatic Aberration and Displace again. And now it's looking super distorted. If you're looking at that closer, you might think you need glasses, but we'll go back to the blending mode and switch that to lighten. It adds some distortion to your lines, but it looks really cool, and it's a fun way to add some variation to your lines without having to do it by hand. It kind of does the work for you if you're wanting to add some variation in the color of your lining. It's not an unpopular thing to do in line art, so that's a great way to create that effect. So here we have our 5 really fun effects that we just used to make some simple art, but it was fun, it was creative, and I had a lot of fun making it. So this was the Liquify, the Lasso tool, the clone stamp, the bloom tool, and the chromatic aberration. So I hope this inspired you to create some of your own art with these effects and use them a little more. And your art doesn't always have to be just a straightforward brush to canvas. You can use these tools to create something cool and unique and really creative. And now that you know how to use these tools, go ahead and watch my other videos where I show you how to use all of just the default effects and tools in Procreate to create unique art. There's so many things you can do with just the defaults in Procreate. So go ahead and go to my playlist and watch all of those so that if you ever wanted to get creative but you don't want to have to spend any extra money or do any extra downloads, those tutorials will be ones that you'll want to watch. So thank you so much, and I'm sure I'll see you next time. Bye!